إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. First and foremost, all praise are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we praise Him alone and we seek His help and forgiveness alone. We seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil within our own selves and from the evil of our own actions. Whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, there is no one that can misguide. And whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leaves to be misguided, there is no one that can guide them. I testify there is none worthy of worship, none worthy to be followed, and none worthy to be obeyed except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I testify that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the servant of Allah and his last and final prophet and messenger, who was sent for the whole of mankind, and he came with the last and final revelation from Allah, the Quran, which is a guidance for mankind. And I testify that Islam is the only way of life that is acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I testify that the Quran is the actual words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which He sent down upon His last and final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which serves as a guidance for mankind to take mankind out of the darkness and into the light. Amma ba'd. Firstly, Jazakallah khair for logging in. Inshallah, tonight's topic is 20 ways to attain happiness for your wife, inshallah. Now, then, first and foremost, the notes for this particular talk was actually handed down to me by one of the students of Sheikh Umar Bakri Muhammad. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect him, preserve him, and release him from the imprisonment of the Taghut regime of Lebanon. He's currently someone, I believe, recently had a heart operation. We haven't heard any news regards to how that has went, but we ask Allah to give him good health and release him to his family and his loved ones, and all the ulama of haqq who are standing for the truth, standing for La ilaha illallah without compromise. And he was obviously someone who was in the UK for many decades, trying to educate the Muslims in the UK, teach them about their deen, about Islam comprehensively. And alhamdulillah, one of his students has gathered the notes from a talk that he delivered himself, the Sheikh, about part of a series called the Jewels of Advice. And this is one thing, firstly I would say, my dear Muslims, to all those brothers and sisters who are, students of knowledge, who are studying Islam, be very keen to make good notes. Be very keen to capture as much of the notes as you can. Because, inshallah, obviously, those notes, one day you might have to pass that knowledge on. Someone might, if you capture in good detail, you can pass, even if you're not able to deliver yourself, you could pass on to someone else. And this is how we pass on the knowledge. The knowledge has been passed down from the scholars to their student, and from those students who became, ulama one day, and they have passed on to their student, and that's how the knowledge has passed on for generation and generation. And obviously, for those of you who know Shaykh Umar, one of the things you'll know, he is someone who's known for calling for the Khilafah for many, many decades. Obviously, for over 90 years, we had a period of darkness in our history, and indeed darkness for mankind, when the absence of the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was absent from this earth. And when I mean absent, I mean nowhere on the earth was the Sharia implemented in its totality. And the Shaykh was someone who was known for calling for the Khilafah, calling for the Islamic governing system, the Khilafah system, where we have one head of state who implements the Sharia over the people. And when the people, they give him the bay'ah, something called the pledge of allegiance, to listen and obey, as long as he implements the Sharia. And subhanAllah, one of the first things here I'm reading on the notes, it mentions that this was at a time when, obviously many years ago, when the Shaykh, he delivered this talk, where there was no Khilafah. But today we have Khilafah announced. And without the Khilafah, without the Sharia to be implemented, there's many aspects of Islam we just simply cannot practice as Muslims. As Muslims, we cannot fully worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and live by His commands if the Sharia is not implemented on a state level. There's many things of Islam that we will not be able to do without the Sharia to be implemented. Some of the things, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to take the jizya from the disbelievers. Now, where in the world, the so-called Muslim countries, are they taking jizya from the kuffar? No, they're not. They're not taking, and yet they call themselves Muslim countries. Even Saudi Arabia, they do not take jizya from the non-Muslims. We have other aspects. Without the Sharia, how are you going to pay the zakat? The zakat is supposed to be the Khalif, the Khalifa, the head of state. He is supposed to have his representative who go and collect the zakat collectors and collect it from the people. Now, without the head of state and without his zakat collectors, what have people been doing all these years? They've been paying zakat to whom they feel deserves it. They've been paying it. Some people have been paying it to their own relatives, and this is not how it works. Without the Sharia, how many problems will occur? Without the Sharia, people will not be able to solve their disputes, will not be able to go to a judge which will judge by the Quran and the Sunnah. And instead, people will end up going to the man-made law, to the kuffar courts, to the kufr courts. The taghut will judge by their own desires, by the man-made laws. Whereas Allah commanded us to go to the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is one of the things that will affect things like marriage. You see, without the Sharia to be implemented, when a husband and wife have a dispute, they need to go to the Sharia to see what Islam says. What is the best way to deal in their dispute? What does the Quran and the Sunnah say? Sometimes, people, without the Sharia, you will have cases of Muslim men so-called marrying Hindu women, Sikh women. Obviously, this is not allowed. This is completely rejected. This is not even regarded as a valid marriage. You will have Muslim women so-called marrying kuffar men, non-Muslim men. Obviously, again, this is the Sharia does not allow this. But without the Sharia to be implemented, who will account this? Who will stop these things from happening? Without the Sharia, you'll see people selling alcohol, people dealing in interest-based contracts. And without the Sharia, it will affect every part of our life, not just from our ritual acts, from the paying the zakat. It will affect even things like the marriage. You see, when, for example, where divorce takes place, people will dissolve the dispute on the man-made laws, and maybe instead of the children may be given to the father, may be given to a non-Muslim, the mother who's non-Muslim. You see, which would not be allowed. So the Sharia, my dear Muslims, it needs to be implemented in order for us to worship Allah the way He commanded us to do so. Allah did not send, as Shaykh Ahmad Musa Jibrili said, Allah did not send Islam to be equal with any other way of life. Allah sent it to supersede them all. You see, so that is why, as Muslims, the Shaykh is described here in the notes. It's like a Muslim living. It's like how a fish lives out of the bowl. If you have a bowl where the fish stays and lives, imagine you take that fish out of that bowl and you just leave it outside. How will that fish cope? Naturally, it'll wither and it'll suffocate until it eventually passes away. That's why, like the Muslim, he needs to be in that bowl of the Sharia, so that he can. That is his not normal environment. We need to be. You should know it's not normal for a Muslim to be living under man-made laws, under kufr. So obviously, as I mentioned this, subhanAllah, this is what the Shaykh mentioned in the notes. So Islam obviously is a complete way of life, and it has to be implemented. You see, I know a lot of these so-called Muslim countries, they claim to be Islamic, but none of these so-called Muslim countries, they implement the Sharia in its entirety. Many people they say that Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country. Saudi Arabia does not do jihad, offensive jihad. When did Saudi Arabia ever do offensive jihad to annex, any land of the kuffar? Saudi Arabia doesn't charge jizya. Even though Islam bans interest, Saudi Arabia allows interest-based banks to operate. And other countries are even far worse, so-called Muslim countries, where they allow nightclubs, where they allow alcohol and gambling, etc. So, my dear Muslim, obviously Islam, Islam is not just a personal belief system for you at your home and inside the masjid. It came to govern society in every aspect of man's and woman's life, from our own ritual system to our own personal system of how we get married, who we can get married to, the rules regarding marriage, etc. Now, in the notes here, it mentions here, obviously, inshallah, the following points, there's 20 points here today, and it's been taken from evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah, and it has been presented in a way for both newlyweds as well as those who have spent many years in wedded companionship, as to how to maintain an Islamic household, and more importantly, how to maintain marital relationships when all the people around us are floundering and unfortunately ending in divorce. Obviously, this is not, for those of you who are listening online, you might not be married. You might not be married yet. Do not think that this it's not concern for you. Inshallah, learn about it, because inshallah one day hopefully you will get married. And obviously everybody wants, my dear Muslim, wants a happy marriage. No one wants to be in a miserable relationship for many, many decades. Sadly, some people are like that. They end up, because maybe from the beginning they chose the wrong partner. Maybe because they lived their married life and they never fulfilled each other's rights. They never knew about what was each other's rights. So obviously, this is important. We learn about this, and the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he gave us advice about these things, about how to have a good, happy married life. You see. So inshallah, we'll go through some of these points, and I will try my best to deliver. Obviously, this is advice. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to act upon it. We all have our mistakes, we all have our shortcomings, and we can always improve and better ourselves. And especially those of us who have been maybe married for many years, we can always change, improve things, improve our relationships, maybe look at our own shortcomings. They say here in the West, they say a leopard can't change his spots, but, which is true, but it's not exactly the case when someone in a married life who's been married for many years. You do not have to be stuck in your ways. If you have some shortcomings, inshallah, you can change and you can better yourself. So to begin, inshallah, first and foremost, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in one hadith, in one of his sayings, he said that the best of you is the one who is best to his wives, and I am the best towards my wives. So subhanallah, the Prophet ﷺ is advising us that the best of us is those who are best towards our wives, and he is the best towards his wives. That he was someone, subhanallah, he was a military commander. He was someone who used to judge in people's dispute. He was a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet he was also a father. Yet he was also the best of fathers. He was the best of husbands as well. Even though he had so much weight on his shoulder, to deliver the Quran to mankind. He was someone, the head of the state, and yet amongst all those responsibilities, he had wives, he had children. And and as we talked many times, he is the best role model for us as Muslims. Verily, Allah mentions, verily in the Messenger of Allah there is for you an excellent example. So we should, as Muslims, we should know about his life. We should know about his life so that we can be like him, so that we can emulate him. And in another hadith, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that no one is genuine towards women except the generous man, and no one humiliates them except the one who is very rude. Yeah. So subhanallah. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ saying, about the man the good man is the one who's generous towards his wives, and the man who's not good is the one who's very rude and very coarse and very harsh towards his own wives. So inshallah, to begin, point number 1. Let me just undot a few people so we can get a sound test on the Pal Talk. So they multitasking here today, and some people say men can't multitask. Okay, just press 1 if you can still hear me, inshallah. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Okay, brothers and sisters, inshallah, the first point the Shaykh he mentioned is that offering a beautiful reception when entering the home. So this is the advice to all the brothers towards in regards towards their wife, how inshallah you could have a more happier married life. First and foremost, offer a beautiful reception when entering the home, like starting with the Islamic greeting, to say Assalamu alaikum with a cheerful smile, and shaking her hand and hugging her. Yeah. So when we first enter our own homes, enter with, obviously the sunnah is to enter, when you enter your home, is to enter obviously with your right foot, and to say Bismillah, and when you enter the room to say enter your home to say Assalamu alaikum. And that is the beautiful way to in fact to greet any Muslim, to say first and foremost to say Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. You see, and that is a good way to come into the home. Some people you might come into the home, and maybe you go in straight into the kitchen. You walk straight past your wife. You completely ignore her. What is she going to be thinking? It's just like, this is rude. It's just come and completely ignored me. So when you come into the home, my dear Muslims, brothers, greet your families with the best with a salam, and with a smile, with a cheerful face. Yeah, don't come in, with, there might be something happening in the day, where something maybe upsetting maybe happened or whatever. But come into the home with a smile, because your family will pick up on this. When they see you upset, you're looking down. Naturally, they will make you feel, they will get worried themselves that something's bothering my husband, maybe something on his mind, something grieving him. And obviously the hadith said that the smile at your Muslim brother is sadaqah. Inshallah, smile at your own wives, smile at your children, etc. Smile when you meet other Muslims. And it says here when you come into the home, inshallah, give her a hug. You may be out for the whole day. It's something that will win her heart over. Yeah. So this is an excellent way to come into the home. Yeah. Don't do as Ustad Abu Barai once mentioned. Don't do that special surprise where you think you're going to quietly come into the house and you're going to give a good surprise. and your family maybe is not expecting you back home, or they know if you come to the home they'll hear the door unlock, but you sneak in and then you suddenly jump out, Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, that's going to give them a heart attack. Yeah, that's not a good reception. Obviously, another point as well on this, I would say, is like, if you know you're coming at an unusual time where you not normally come home, it's good to, if you can, let your family, nowadays you have mobile phones, that you're coming home a bit early today for some reason, because you have to remember, maybe your wife is not expecting you midday. Suddenly they might hear the door opening, who's this person, make we get worried, you see. So bear this in mind, inshallah. But the main point is, when you enter your home, greet your wives with the best greeting, Assalamu alaikum, with a cheerful smile, shaking her hand, and maybe giving her a hug, giving her a kiss, etc. Point number 2, using the sweet and enchanting speech with her. Make sure to take care of her and making her feel special. Make your speech clear and repeat yourself if necessary, and call her with the best of names that she likes. Yeah? So obviously it's the sunnah as well to give, for a husband to give his wife a nickname. For a wife to maybe even give her husband a nickname. So, someone might call his wife my honey, or my beloved, my darling, my sweetheart, my tulip, or my rose, my everybody, is good to something that you'll make her happy, make her smile, and make her more attracted to you. So that is something sunnah is recommended, inshallah. And use the best of speech, my dear Muslims. You see, one word, subhanallah, out of place, it could end up kicking off World War III. Use the best of words, inshallah. Be very careful with your words you use, and be sweet and gentle. Be sweet and gentle, to joke with your family, to use light words, not very harsh and coarse speech. You see, you got to remember, the woman is not like the man. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us both different. You see, the women, one of the biggest mistakes people make is they try to treat the women like the way they treat the men, the way they behave themselves when they're amongst brothers. They try to behave in that same way with their own wife, and this is not going to work. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't just create us physically different. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the woman, psychologically different, emotionally different, and you got to bear this in mind. So obviously, those of you who are married, inshallah, I'm sure you've got special ways of addressing your own wife or addressing your own husband, etc. And so address them with that ways that will make them happy and enter happiness into their hearts. Point number 3. Despite your workload, create time for friendliness and recreation. It was the practice of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to befriend and spend time together with his wives, despite his workload and huge responsibilities. Yeah. So, my dear Muslim, make time to spend with your family. Obviously, usually the man, he will go off to work maybe in early in the day, and he'll be working part of the day, but then eventually he'll be home. When you're at home, don't bring your work with you. Yeah, this is your family time. One of the problems we have here in the West is, sadly, many people, they are really working too much, overworking, where to the extent they end up neglecting their own family and their rights. You got to remember, my dear, your wife has rights, your children has rights, your parents has rights, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has rights. Everybody their rights have to be given. You see, nowadays many marital problems happen because maybe the husband, he spends too much time at work. You see, or when he's not at work, when he's at home, work is still playing on his mind. He's doing, work at home, homework. He's bringing the work from the office into the house. You see, and you've got to remember, your family, your wives, they want to spend time with you. They maybe have not seen you all day. You've been away. So when you're at home, spend time with them. So you can do certain activities together. Yeah. So you could, and be like their friend. Yeah. So someone you could activities. Maybe you might be sit together and you could be watching an Islamic lecture together. Maybe you might like to bake a cake, or you like to cook together. Maybe you like to play some kind of halal game. Or maybe it's something else. Maybe you like maybe you like crafts. You maybe like making things. Inshallah, you can come up with the activities which are beneficial and which you can do together and spend your time together. Because remember, my dear Muslims, your wife or your husband is not just your wife and your husband. They are also one of your closest companions, closest friends, that you confide in. So despite your workload, create time when you're with your family and do activities together. Someone he might be busy in the dawah. Spends a lot of time out, calling people to Islam. Maybe someone maybe go on for long periods of time in the jihad. You see, so obviously you have everybody has work to do in different areas. So but don't let that be an excuse to say, look, I'm too busy. I've got all these preparations. I've got to get leaflets for the dawah. I don't have time I can't give you any time. I have this to do, this to sort out, etc. The Prophet Muhammad was the best of example for us. He had huge responsibility on his shoulders, yet he was able to make time for all of his wives, and he had more than one as well. Point number 4, play games and distractions with each other. In one hadith, the Prophet Muhammad said, all things in which there is no mention of Allah is frivolity. Basically, is waste of time. And absent-mindedness, and idle play, except for 4 things. So basically, all things in which no mention of Allah is wasting time, except 4 things. 1, a man being playful with his wife, training his horse, walking between the 2 purposeful goals, and teaching another to swim. Yeah. So obviously, why this hadith is mentioned that it's not wasting time playing with your wife, joking around with your wife, playing around with your wife, and spending time with her. This is not considered wasting time. Rather, this is a good way to spend time. Whereas if someone he spent time on, maybe he's spending time watching a football match, for example, that is waste of time. Yeah, that is waste of time. So obviously, then the hadith also mentions about somebody maybe training his horse. Training, obviously back in the day, where horses were used a lot in the preparing for battle, for war, for jihad, etc. Also, the hadith mentioned about walking between the 2 goals. So somebody might be an archer, for example, he's walking between the 2 targets. All of that walking he does, he gets reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another one who teaches someone how to swim, or he'll get reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because swimming obviously in Islam is highly encouraged. So we should learn to swim, teach our children how to swim. But this point obviously emphasizes the reason for the hadith, to play games with each other. Yeah. So, you could, maybe you might have some halal puzzle or something. You play together, which is good. Or, even one time the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had a race with his own wife Aisha radiallahu anha. You see, playing with her. See, this is very good, and it's something that you spend time with each other, and this is a very highly recommended. So obviously, you'll obviously when you spend time with your own wife, you'll see what things you both like, etc. What things you enjoy. But main thing, do activities together, play games with each other, joke around with each other, and this is very good. Point number 5, assistance in the household. To participate and help your wife with the household duties like buying food, preparing food, cleaning, organizing the house, etc. This brings happiness to the wife and strengthens your love and relations together. So obviously, my dear Muslim, the wife's main duty will be to maintain the house, to do the cooking, cleaning, etc. However, don't think to yourself that you are forbidden to do any cleaning. As the husband, you are forbidden to cook. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to help his wives in the house. And that was one of the things that your wife will appreciate. Giving her a hand. Maybe she's in cooking. You could possibly say, okay, I'll do the hoover today. That's one less thing on her list of things to do. You see, so you'll lighten the burden on her, and obviously naturally that will, she will appreciate that, inshallah. You see, maybe if your family is in the kitchen, remember we talked about doing activities together. Maybe you could be in the kitchen, you could do some part of the cooking. So maybe you could chop the vegetables while she does other stuff, etc. Or even something simple as peeling the onions. Yeah, obviously you spend time together. Rather, you're sitting on the couch with your feet up, watching the TV, just waiting for mealtime, or watching some nonsense on TV. Go into the kitchen, inshallah, help out if you can. Maybe it's even sometimes even just do a few dishes that maybe sitting in the sink. This is something very, very good, and win a heart. So so don't be one of those people who behave like it's haram for a man to do any household work. Yeah, this is obviously your home as well. Yeah, and if so, helping the family, it will lighten the burden on her, and it will incline and strengthen the love and the relation between you both. Point number 6, consult her. Yeah, consult your own wives. The opinion of Salama radiallahu anha during the Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, is a well-known event where the Prophet, where it was the method of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to consult his wives and friends. Yeah. So, my dear Muslims, obviously, if there is something that's on your mind, something you're thinking about, maybe a task you intend to carry out, and you're not sure maybe what's the best way to approach it, inshallah, ask your wife's opinion. Ask your wife's opinion. Do not be arrogant and think, oh look, she's a woman, what will she can advise me? This is wrong. Then this is not from the Sunnah. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to ask his wife's opinions on matters, and it's one of the things when you ask, the opinion of your own wives, of your own husband, or on your own close companion, they will feel like like they're important. They will feel like this person, he cares about me, cares about what I have to say, or he wouldn't ask me. Even there's one verse in the Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, ask the Prophet Muhammad to consult the Sahaba. You see, so obviously ask for your wife's opinion on matters, and maybe the problem something that you couldn't figure out, you never know. She might know the solution. She might know the solution. So it's something very good. Even sometimes, if you even, sometimes you're pretty sure you made up your mind to go for a certain decision. But even then, to still ask your own wives is something good. Look, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? See, and she might say, she could even turn around and say, it's completely wrong. I don't think you should do it. SubhanAllah. There was once, there was a case of once, I'll give you an example of when there was a journalist who wanted to do an interview regarding a certain event that happened. And so at the time I was thinking, I wasn't sure, shall I do this interview? Because it's a bit of a hot subject. And I thought, I'm not too sure, it's a very sensitive time. So you ask the family's opinion, what do you think? You see, and subhanAllah, the family said, no, I don't think it's a good idea. You see, even though I've pretty much already made up my mind, I don't think I will do the interview. You see, but it's something that, to ask for her opinion, she will feel that he values me, you see. So, inshallah, consult her, inshallah, on matters. Point number 7, accompany the wife along whilst visiting relatives and friends and the people of righteousness. So, subhanAllah, if your family, if your wife, maybe you're going to your own in-laws, her mother's house, accompany her. Yeah, accompany her. Do not be like, oh look, maybe she wants to go to see her parents, and you're like, okay, just call a minicab, call a cab, just jump on the bus. I'll stay home. No, subhanAllah. Especially nowadays in Darul Kufr, we see the climate where many Muslims are being attacked. Subhanallah. I wouldn't advise anyone to just allow their own wives just to go out and about if you are able to escort them. So, but generally, if your wives have to go somewhere, go with them, accompany them. You see, do not you catch the bus. You got a car, you're able to drop her off, in safety and pick her back up. Obviously, it's, even though you may not be, for some reason you cannot pop inside, or maybe she's going to visit a friend of hers. Inshallah, drive her there, and so she's safely reached her destination. And if she's maybe visiting for a couple of hours, inshallah, find something to do, or come back and pick her up, and she will appreciate this. And it's like I mentioned, the same way, if she's going to her parents' house to see them, go with her, and go and visit her parents as well, and that will win her heart as well. When you maintain good relations with her own mother and father, and with her own relatives and her own friends. So that was point number 7, accompany the wife along whilst visiting relatives, friends, and people of righteousness. Point number 8, manners of travel and leaving the wife behind. If you can't take her with you, offer her a warm farewell. Leave her with sufficient means and money. Ask trustworthy individuals to look after the needs of your family in your absence. Ask her to pray for you. Be in touch with her often, and minimize your travel to what is necessary. And bring her gifts when you return. Try not to return at night or at an unexpected time. Yeah. So a few points there. Obviously, if you have to travel somewhere for whatever business, or give her a warm farewell. Don't just like, I had these weird cases on TV where the husband, he went down the road to the shop to get milk or something. He didn't come back for like 10 years or for many years. So if you're leaving the home, obviously make aware to your family. I'm leaving. Especially if it's something you're going for a long term. So if you're going to be going away for a week, obviously give her a warm farewell, inshallah, and leave her with sufficient money. Obviously she may need to buy stuff, she may need to pop out and buy some milk or some bread, etc. Leave her with sufficient money, and you might it's good to, if you can, maybe inform a few people, like maybe her own brother or someone that you're going away. If she needs anything, just to help her out, etc. Inform people, and also ask her to make dua for you. That I'm going on this journey, maybe for business, etc. Make dua for me. Allah blesses the business and makes it halal. Makes my travel easy, inshallah. And obviously, and whilst you're away as well, my dear brothers, keep in contact. Keep in contact nowadays, alhamdulillah, with modern technology. Throughout the whole journey, you can obviously send messages. But when you reach your destination, if you have a capability, just to maybe give her a phone call to say, look, I've safely arrived. I'm everything well. How is everything? Is everything going okay? This is very good. If you let's say you're meant to travel somewhere, and you're gonna arrive at 9 o'clock in the evening, and and she's expecting a call at just after 9 o'clock, and you don't bother calling. 9 o'clock goes, 10 o'clock goes, 11 o'clock goes, and now your family could be worrying that has you reached his destination. So it's something, when you reach your destination, try to give a call home, and that will ease their hearts. And also, it mentioned this here, to minimize your travel. Yeah, so don't be away from home for longer than you need to. Yeah, because as we mentioned, your family has rights. They have rights, and if you shouldn't be unnecessarily away from the family for long periods of time. So minimize your travel unnecessarily. That's why sometimes you might have to be considering to get a faster form of transport. That will reduce your travel journey. So you could, let's say you're going somewhere very far, you could take 5 buses, and it'll take about 20 a day, 24 hours to come back home. Or you could maybe pay £10 more, and you can come home in a couple of hours. That's more better, you see. So if you can do that, if you can afford to do that, that's even better. And also, when you return from wherever you've been, especially if you go on business somewhere far, etc., inshallah, try and bring back a gift. Try and bring back a gift. Many people do that when they go on holiday, etc. So, and it's something, when you come home, the wife will think, he's been away, he's gone to this new place, there may be many wonderful things there, and when you come back empty-handed, this is not good. Yeah, this is not good. Obviously, people naturally they almost expect something, a nice gift. You see, it doesn't have to necessarily have to be something very expensive. That was something is good. It'll win her heart. And also, when you return, my dear Muslims, try not to return at an awkward time in the night. Yeah. So let's say, for example, you come back 2 o'clock in the morning when your family is in deep sleep. So there you are, you're all of a sudden, your family is not expecting you. All of a sudden, someone's unlocking the door. That's gonna cause her to panic. Think, who is this at this time of night? And you haven't informed her, or she might be asleep. You see. So obviously, if that is, maybe you'd been delayed and you come in that time, just give her a phone call before and say, look, I'm running late. It might be around 2 o'clock in the morning. So then she can, if she hears something unusual, she can say, oh, that's probably my husband, you see. And yeah, so try to return at a good time, inshallah. That was point number 8. Point number 9, financial support. Be generous in your household with spending. Good financial support, not wasteful, tends to stabilize the marriage. Yeah. So, my dear Muslim, support your wife financially and be generous in the spending in the household stuff. Yeah. So there may be things your family needs around the house. Maybe need certain product. Be generous. Buy a good washing machine. Yeah. Maybe a fridge, or maybe some maybe some nice carpet, something, or it could be other stuff. Maybe some nice furniture. Yeah, be generous in your house. That is something that is good to spend money on, because you got to remember the woman, she will spend most of her time in the home. You see, so she wants to make it a palace. She wants to make it her own. She wants to do it up nicely how she is pleasing to her. So inshallah, she may need certain stuff. She may, she might want a certain nice wallpaper, etc. It's good to spend money on things like this, and that will help to stabilize the marriage and make it tranquil. So not to be stingy with your own family. And general, obviously, not to be stingy. But many people they have this problem where they don't spend much on their own families. They'll spend time on or spend money on other stuff. But when it comes to their own families, they become stingy and tight. And this is not good. Be generous in regards to spending on your own wives and spending in your own household. Point number 10, good smelling and beautification. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beautiful and He loves beauty and cleanliness. Always be clean, neat, and adorn yourself with perfume. Yeah. Just do a quick mic test on the Palto. Bismillah. I have to double check just in case the mic goes off. Okay, jazakallah khair. Point number 10, as we mentioned, smell good and beautify yourself. There's one narration from Abdullah ibn Abbas, the Sahabi radhiyallahu anhu. He said that I love to beautify myself for my wife as much as I love her to beautify herself for me. One of the things some people they have, they obviously naturally a man like to see his wife beautiful and beautified, likes her to wear nice clothes and dress up, maybe put on a bit of makeup for her, for him. He likes to see his wife beautiful, but he doesn't make much effort. You see, this is exactly what Abdullah ibn Abbas is saying, that the way you love for your wife to look nice for you, you should in the same way, you should have this eagerness to look nice for her. Yeah? So, inshallah, smell good, beautify yourself, wear something nice, be clean and wear perfume, wear attain. When you come home, someone, for example, he might have been outside, working away, and he's been sweating, and obviously he releases smell. Inshallah, when you come home, take a shower, have a good wash, and put some perfume on, and smell nice, be clean. One thing that women do not like is unclean person. Obviously, even a man wouldn't like that. Nobody really likes someone who's unclean, someone who had bad odor, does not groom himself, etc. His hair's all over the place, So, inshallah, remember, my dear brothers, the way you like, your wives to look beautiful for you, in the same way they like that as well. So make an effort, inshallah. Be clean, be neat, adorn yourself with perfume, etc. Things that that your family will like and will find attractive. Point number 11 is about intimacy, about intercourse. It is a duty of the husband to suffice his wife with her emotionally and her sexual needs and desires. Perhaps once every time the wife is pure, but be considerate of her physical and psychological health. So obviously it's the right of the wife to have her physical relationship, and and the notes say mention at least once a month, basically, after she is clean from her haid, her menses. And be considerate her. Don't just consider just thinking about fulfilling your own desires. You need to be considering thinking about if she is satisfied as well, you see, and what things she enjoys, etc. And so don't be just thinking about yourself, and think about and also as well, my dear Muslims, obviously someone he may desire a relationship, a husband with his own wife, but maybe she's going through a tough period of time. Maybe something's grieving her, or maybe she's a bit unwell, etc. At that time, obviously, she may not be really, feeling that type of intimacy at that particular moment. Have sabr, inshallah. Have patience, inshallah. And you got basically be considerate of her physical and psychological health. Yeah. I know obviously you have rights. Yes, of course. But you need to be considerate of her, because it may not be the right time. May not be a good time for something like this. You see, and delaying maybe a few days it's not going to be the end of the world. Yeah. So bear this in mind, inshallah. Point number 12. Genuine care. The Muslim husband should be very caring and sentimental towards his wife. The wife goes through various psychological and physiological changes. She is in need of a cheerful smile and a genuine care to wipe her pain and her low feelings. So, obviously, my dear Muslim, as we mentioned, Allah SWT created the woman different from the man. She generally tends to be more emotional, more sensitive. That's how Allah SWT made her, and that is a good qualities for her. Especially when it comes to things like looking after the child. She needs to have that very emotional and sensitive behavior towards the child. You said, those of you who are fathers, when the baby starts crying, there's not very long before you go crazy and you can't handle it. But subhanAllah, you see, when the woman hears the baby crying, the mother, she's completely calm and she doesn't lose her temper, etc. usually. But completely different kind of behavior, you see. But remember, obviously, for example, the wife goes through that period of time in the month, where her body's hormones are changing around, and you'll see her behavior might change a bit different. Have sabr, have patience at that time. Obviously it's a time of hardship for her and distress, but be there to support her, and always be cheerful around her. Try to encourage her. Don't be down and miserable, because you end up making her down and miserable as well. And just be there as we say in the West, as a shoulder to cry on, if you like. Point number 13, guarding the privacy of marriage. It was narrated in one hadith by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. He said that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "Verily among the worst of people in status before Allah on the day of resurrection is the man who goes to his wife and she comes to him for sexual relationship, and then he divulges her secrets, i.e. of the bed, of the relationships." My dear Muslims, what you engage in with your own wife should be between you and your own wife. It is not for outside people to know about. Do not be of those people who go and discusses about what you get up to with your own wife to other people. And obviously this hadith, it gives a strong condemnation of people who do that. And those of you who lived in Darul Kufr for a long time, you'll know that this is very prevalent amongst the kuffar, amongst the non-Muslims. They don't have this shyness. They'll speak about their own wives, and describe their own wives and what they get up to other people. This is not for other people to know. A Muslim should not do this. You see, what is private in your own home, you see, especially intimate relationship, this is not for anybody else to know about. So do not discuss this, and this is for advice to both for the husband and wife. Point number 14, working together in obedience of Allah. Pray collectively together and engage yourselves in activities of worship, like offering generous donations, doing dhikr, remembering Allah, praying at night, qiyamul layl. In one hadith, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "May the mercy of Allah be upon a man who wakes up at night to pray and wakes up his wife to pray with him. And if she refuses, he splashes water onto her face." Okay, I'll just I'll just explain that before anyone carries that out. Obviously, what they're saying is, do acts of worship together collectively. Do good deeds together with your own wife. So it could be things like, there may be someone needs some financial help. So you could say, "Look, oh my wife, there's this person over there, they're financially struggling. Let's give them some sadaqah. Let's give them some money to help them out, some charity." You see, encourage your own wives to give charity and donation, do good deeds together. Make dhikr together. You could do, if you get up in the night, rather than you praying by yourself, qiyamul layl, maybe tahajjud in the last third of the night, inshallah, call your own wife and get her, so you pray together, let her get a reward together. And what the hadith is mentioned is about, just spring, if she's, maybe she's struggling to get up or in very deep sleep, sprinkle a little bit of water on her face. That will help her to wake up, you see. Obviously for the sake of Allah. But if it's something, obviously, my dear, be careful. If it's something really unusual, like they've been really up all night, and literally they cannot, hold their head up, maybe that's not the best time to do that, you see. But other things you can do, you can sit together and you can recite Quran. Maybe your own wife, she could test you. You're reading some Quran, maybe you're learning some tajweed together, etc. You can do stuff like this. This is very good. So basically the point is, work together in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Help one another in order to do good deeds, to come closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you see if you see your wife or even your own husband straying, and maybe going somewhere close towards the hellfire, grab them and pull them away, inshallah. Point number 15, show respect to your wife's family and her friends. Yeah, show respect to her family and her friends. So obviously, my dear Muslim, if you maintain that good relationship with her own family, that will win her heart as well. But if you have that bad relationship with her own family, that will come back on towards you. You see, that will cause her grief and worry. You see, so try to maintain good relation, and also with her own friends, obviously within the permits of the Sharia. One of the things that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to do, that he used to inquire about his first wife Khadija radiallahu anha, about her own friends. You see, after she had passed away, you inquire about them, take care of them, look out for them. You see, so this is something very good. Point number 16: educate your wife about Islam and offer her advice. Yeah. So my dear Muslims, obviously those brothers who are learning and studying the Deen, alhamdulillah, very good. But what about young wife? You're going to go off and you're going to learn all the Deen. You're going to maybe a public talk, a public lecture. Take her with you so she can benefit as well. Nowadays you may have women's circles, etc., women's study circles. Inshallah, go and take her. Drop her off so she can increase her in her own Islamic knowledge. Teach her the Deen. Maybe buy books, read together. Read a good Islamic book together, etc. Or if you've been studying, etc., come home and maybe share with your own wife what you've learned, etc. Teach her the fiqh. Teach her about taqeedah, etc. Pass on the knowledge. And support her in her own Islamic studies, because obviously she needs to learn the Deen as well. And the woman is not usually as freely capable of seeking the Islamic as a man would be. You see, but she needs to know the Deen, and got to remember, one day she will teach your children. So if you're not concerned about her learning the Deen, and you just think, oh look, that's not important, she just needs to cook and clean and maintain the house. Inshallah, when you have children, what she's going to teach your children, you'll expect her to give her the children good Islamic teaching. But if you never bother to teach her and support her in her learning, then what is she going to teach? So do not be like this, and help her support in her study of Islam, study of her Deen, inshallah, and offer your advice to her. Advise her in the best and kindest manner. Point number 17 is admirable jealousy. Now, not all jealousy is bad. I know generally we say, look at people being jealous, people usually talk it in a bad way, but not all jealousy is bad. To be jealous over your wife is something good. To have this ghaira, this jealousy over the Muslim woman, and to have jealousy over your own wife, where you don't like your wife to be free mixing. You wouldn't like your wife to be talking to a random strange man for no reason. You see, to have that jealousy over her. If she she needs to go out, but she's not dressed correctly, you need to have that jealousy over her to advise her, look, that the khimar maybe is showing, the neck is showing, for example, or you've forgotten to put your socks on. Or maybe because obviously one of the strongest opinions is that the feet are part of the awrah. Obviously, I know some people follow the Hanafi madhab, they don't believe so. So something like this, have this jealousy over her, and this is good for your own self and for herself as well. Point number 18, be patient and have softness with your wife. Control your anger and always give her benefit of the doubt, and advise her whenever she does a mistake. Yeah. So my dear Muslim brothers, obviously have patience and have softness. There's one hadith where the Prophet Muhammad said that the woman she's been made from the she is like the uppermost part of the rib cage. Now, you see, if anybody ever seen a skeleton, I don't know, maybe remember from science school, biology class, You know, if you look at the human rib cage, you'll see the uppermost rib of the rib cage is the most curved. Yeah, it's the most crooked. Yeah, so the Prophet Muhammad described the woman like this, and he said that if you try to straighten her, you will break her. Yeah, but if you leave her, she will stay like that. So what it's saying is basically, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the woman like that. Don't treat her like the akhis, like one of the brothers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made her a different way to a man. She's more sensitive, she's more emotional. She might, just say something she didn't mean. It just came out because she got a bit emotional, etc. Have patience and have that softness. Deal with it in a good manner. And control your anger, my dear brothers. And always give her the benefit of the doubt. Think good of Muslims. Nowadays we have this problem. People now, they hear of a Muslim doing something bad, something wrong. It's like, Muslims are all bad. They're all like this and this and that. Yeah, this is, that's what time we're living in. Have you checked? Have you verified? Is it true? Is it not? You should always think good. So he's a Muslim. He wouldn't do something like that. Are you sure? Have that thingy. If maybe someone, she something you think she may have done wrong, think to yourself, have this thinking that maybe I'm mistaken, maybe I misinterpreted it, maybe I didn't, I didn't see it correctly. You see, give her the benefit of the doubt, just the way you would love her to give you the benefit of the doubt. And if she doesn't make a mistake, advise her in the kindest and the best manner. Yeah. Remember, obviously, every son of Adam makes mistakes. Yeah. But the best amongst them are those who seek forgiveness. Yeah. So if she does a mistake, look, just advise her. Look, okay, alhamdulillah, maybe your trying is very good, but that's not the best way to go about it. If you did it like this, it'd be even better. Inshallah, sometimes she may even, she'll recognize she made a mistake. Say, okay, no problem, alhamdulillah. It's not the end of the world. Yeah? Alhamdulillah. If you're like, she makes one little mistake, maybe put too much salt in the curry, and come on, many people have big, huge bust-ups in their marriage because of things like this. It's only a bit of salt. SubhanAllah. You're not gonna die by one meal. You had a bit too much salt. And she can make a mistake. She can make a mistake. Sometimes people forget. They can't remember whether maybe they put salt in there already or not. Alhamdulillah, have it one time a bit salty, no problem. You see, it's not like it happens every day. And those brothers who want to complain about food like that, you try cooking. Yeah, it's not easy when on top of the cooking you've got, maybe you got to look after the kids. You got the other things around the household. It needs someone, needs doing. Someone could make a little mistake. So inshallah, mistakes like this, try to overlook it. Inshallah, try to overlook it and just forgive and forget about it. Yeah. If you hold on to these little mistakes, my dear Muslims, it's only going to cause more problems in your own marriage. Point number 19, forgiveness and appropriate criticism where applicable. So obviously one hadith, it mentions, subhanAllah, that, the one who does not show forgiveness, Allah will not show forgiveness to them on the Day of Judgment. Let us be, forgiving and merciful to our own wives. SubhanAllah, like I said, it's not like, you as a husband, you don't make mistakes, and you don't do things wrong. Yeah, and I'm sure you love your wife to forgive you. So in the same way that you love her to forgive you if you did something wrong, you'd love to forgive her as well. And sometimes, obviously, you need to maybe give some constructive criticism. Yeah. So you could, for our own sake, something you could advise. I'm trying to think of some live examples. Obviously, I have to always bear in mind I don't get myself in trouble. But obviously, basically, just give her, sometimes she maybe not doing something correctly, give her advice. Look, if you do it like this, it'll be even better. Or let me show you how I do it, and see what you think. And she'll be like, oh, that's a better way of doing it. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, don't be like, come down on her like a ton of brick. Like, what is this you're doing? This is completely all wrong. Who told you this? Did your mother not teach you this and that? Come on. Yeah, that is not the good way to speak to your own wife. Point number 20, be a genuine Muslim husband and apply all of which you have read and understood with wisdom. Yeah. Obviously, my dear Muslims, as you're listening to this talk, brothers may be sitting there at home thinking, subhanallah, so many of those I don't do. So many of those I'm very bad at. Maybe some sisters are thinking, point 16 and point 17 and point 8 and point 3 and point 5, he doesn't do those. Subhanallah, obviously, we all have shortcomings. We can always do better. And, all of this stuff that you heard, obviously it's advice. It's advice. And sometimes, obviously, we need to take our own advice. Yeah, we need to, first and foremost, the advice that people give us, we need to act upon it. Just like in Islam, we believe in Salah, but we don't pray. You need to act upon it. You believe in worshipping Allah alone, so act upon it. Don't go to the Taghut for judgment. Yeah, you believe in Islam and you believe in the Sharia, well, implement it then. Yeah, why you claim to be Muslim but you don't want to implement the Sharia? Why not? How many of these so-called Muslim rulers, yet they don't want to implement the rule of Allah? So my dear Muslims, we need to be people of, we need to obviously practice what we preach, and because I'm sure we all have some downfall in these areas. But those things obviously which I've shared with you today from my own from Shaykh Umar Bakr Muhammad, this is advice, and obviously we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to act upon it. It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. Even though someone who, he heard maybe all of these 20 points, but then going on to act upon it in the best way is not easy. It's not easy. So, but try to apply it as much as you can, and try your best, and be wise and use your own wisdom. Know the right time and the right place to say certain stuff, to do certain stuff. Yourself. When been married to this woman for many years, the things that she likes and the things that she doesn't like. So don't try to go and do things that that will be displeasing to her. Yeah, she maybe likes things in a certain way. Yeah, so don't try to do it in a different way. Yeah, so have that. Use your own wisdom, inshallah, and be wise. And finally, a few. So that's point 20, and that's the final point. And just to conclude, learn about and be aware of the things that your wife likes, and try your best to attain that which she likes, and distance yourself from things that she dislikes or she hates. Make a habit to call her with good names that she likes, such as my darling, my love, my sweetheart, etc. But let it come from your mouth with a strong yet gentle voice as words of truth. Yeah. So try to make it sound genuine. Yeah. Don't be like, my sweetheart. You're my sweetheart. Like yeah, whatever. Yeah, you're just saying the wash there's something, something's up. Try to make it genuine. Yeah, don't be just only when you need something or etc. You try to, how do you say, sweet talker, etc. listen to her when she speaks, especially if she is conversing about a matter which she is facing and wanting to get your opinion and thoughts. Listen to her with all your senses. This is a very important point, this one. Yeah? You know, there's one hadith, it mentions to give your wife more air than the enemy. Yeah? When she's speaking to you, listen to her. Pay close attention. How many times, you know, I'm sure, you know, we all probably fall into this at some point. You know, you're on your phone, you know, and your family's speaking to you, and she's saying something, and then the last bit you heard, so what do you think? And you're like, sorry, what are you speaking about? And it's like, oh, you weren't listening all this time because you're too busy playing on your phone. Yeah. When your family's speaking to you, put the phone down. Give her full attention, yeah? And look at her, and, you know, don't, like you're looking like you're seriously paying attention and you're not being distracted by something else, yeah? Or else you end up in that awkward situation where, you know, your family's speaking to you and you're just pretending to listen, and you're like, and then she turns around and she says, so shall I get it? And you're like, and you don't want to get caught out because you weren't listening to it, and you're like, yeah, I think so, yeah. And then you see your bank statement and there's £500 gone out for something, and you're like, what's this? It's like, you said to go ahead with it. When did I say that? For what? You should have paid attention, or something like that could happen, yeah. But when basically, obviously, what I'm saying is, when she's speaking to you, give her full attention, yeah. Listen to her attentively, like you're serious, yeah. With all your senses. You know, nowadays, obviously, it's sad that with the mobile phones today, it creates so much problems. You know, people nowadays, you have things like WhatsApp and Telegram and Instagram and this and that, and just messages are constantly going off. It's like you're always on your phone. Sometimes, my dear brothers, just try to put that phone away, you know, for a while, yeah, for half an hour. Give your family some quality time, inshallah. Just put the phone on silent and just forget about it for half an hour. You know, the world's not going to come to a standstill just because you're away for half an hour from Telegram or whatever. Also, always clean and beautify yourself for her, as we mentioned. Yeah, adorn yourself in a manner which she prefers and she admires. Yeah. So if she, you know, she likes you, you know, dress a certain kind of way she finds attractive, alhamdulillah, it's good. If she likes a certain type of perfume, yeah, put that one on, inshallah. Yeah, so obviously clean and always beautify yourself for her as the way you like her to beautify herself for you. And also, don't let your wife feel that she is not important or a less significant figure in the house. Instead, you must make her feel respectful and proud. And don't forget to mention her in good terms and admire her from time to time in front of her family and in yours, and in her presence and in her absence. Yeah, so praise your own wife, you know, in her absence. You know, maybe you're at your in-laws, you're going to see her parents. You can praise her in front of her mother. It's something that will win her mother's heart. You know, she hears about it, win her heart. You see, praise her in front of your own parents. Say, you know, she's very good. She's good cook. You know, she maintains the house and etc. You know, she's very kind to me. She doesn't raise her voice. When your own parents hear that, I think, alhamdulillah, my son is happy. You know, she's taking care of him. They will be more inclined towards her, etc. So that is something very good. So in summary, that is the 20 points of ways of how to attain happiness for your wife. I hope you have benefited, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to act upon all of these points and to make us the brothers, to make us obviously good husbands, inshallah, the way, and follow the sunnah of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to give us obviously patience and sabr with our own wives, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously any brothers and sisters who are going through any hardship in their marriage, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for them, and solve any issues and bring their hearts back together for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakallah khair for listening.